Hi, I'm Irving. You have just entered Cartertopia.
All right, men. Take it in.
Short version, he has a machine that's going to turn those lead bars into gold. We have to watch the entire process, which takes a minute and a half and consists of cutting from big spark machines to him and his henchmen standing around watching. We're not off to a good start, even if we do have Dick Gautier as the bad guy.
Well, again we have defied the laws of nature. We have turned base metal into precious gold.
Oh yeah, that lady came in and also stood around watching the machine make pretty spark patterns. It was the most interesting that happened in the whole sequence.
You are late, Morgana.
Perhaps, Count Cagliostro, but I've fulfilled my mission.
I see. And Diana Prince still has the pendant.
One of his now deceased henchmen sent it to her to try and expose what they're doing here. Why didn't he include a note explaining what it was all about? That could have saved a lot of time. Snitches never seem to think of these things.
Bring me the pendant, and bring me Diana Prince.
He wants Diana because he wants to know if the informant told her anything else. Now, it stands to reason that if he had, she wouldn't be wearing it around like regular jewelry. She'd be in Cagliostro's face and they'd all be in jail. Villains never seem to think of these things either. A reception for the Emir of Kiana. No, Kiana. It's supposed to be one of the Arab countries that participated in the oil embargo of 1973, which is to say OPEC. But we don't mention them by name and we don't use the name of a real country because you never know, they might do it again. Which they sort of did a year later when the Ayatollah took over Iran and cut off oil to anybody who supported Israel. If you weren't there for the astronomical prices and the mile-long lines at the gas pump, be thankful.
I'm humbled by your beauty.
No more than I'm humbled by meeting one of the most powerful men in the world.
An exaggeration. Of course, not entirely untrue.
Then it is true that the oil countries take their cue from you.
A beautiful woman wishes to discuss the worldwide price of oil?
Yes, in some countries, women are more than window dressing. His handler discreetly pulls him away and he heads to a seat.
I think that's a real bummer. The IADC has no right making you butter up to 24-karat yuck like that Emir.
I think you've got me confused with somebody else.
You have me confused all the time. Not about who you are. You're Diana Prince, the spy from IADC.
Oh, that sound we just heard? That was you blasting my cover.
Ed Begley Jr. needs to learn when to shut up, or at least his character does. His name is Harold and he's a magician. A bad one, but a magician. Diana wishes he'd make himself disappear, but he's her neighbor and has been aching to meet her. The Emir's handler introduces the entertainment for the evening, an illusionist named Jazreel the Great.
For my first demonstration, I will need the assistance of a beautiful young lady. Mademoiselle, would you mind if I made you disappear?
She seems to be the only woman under 50 in the place, so he didn't have a lot of choices. But it does seem a tad convenient. Diana is hesitant, but the crowd finally wins her over. She gets in the box and Jazreel says the magic words.
She's wearing the pendant. Get her out of here.
What do you do when it's time to bring her back? Okay, we go to a gag, but sooner or later he has to deliver the person. Or not. The crowd thinks he's part of the act, and nobody is being helpful about where Jazreel or Diana Prince might be. Diana's right there. She had to change into something more comfortable.
I know how that trick works, and I want to go down into your basement and see for myself.
You can save yourself a trip, Harold.
You're okay. I was worried.
Well, you're a magician. You should know I'd turn up sooner or later. I'd like to speak with Jazrael.
He has performed a true feat of magic. He's made himself disappear.
At the IADC, Steve is examining the pendant.
This is what the magician was after?
That's what Diana said. It was mailed to her less than a week ago. She's checking out the box that came in.
We still don't know her name, suggests taking it to a prominent metallurgist to have it analyzed.
All we know for sure is someone is after it, and in a big way.
Well, if the problem lies in the analysis of this pendant, you can rest assured I'll find it.
That's why we came to you, Dr. Hutchins.
After all, they don't give Nobel Prizes for attendance records.
Oh, modesty. Diana wants you to call her the minute you find something.
As What's-Her-Name exits, we see another What's-Her-Name following her. Meanwhile, Harold has been following Diana. He's tailed her to a magic shop. That's the address on the box the pendant came in. Harold isn't good at taking the hint to go away, so he invites himself along on her investigation as her expert consultant.
Hey, I've bought cards here, Chinese boxes, even trick hats. Speaking of which...
The box means nothing to you, then?
I'll ask around. You like that trick, huh?
Yeah, I sure do. It's the longest streamer I think I've ever seen.
I'll make you a good deal.
I may just have to take it.
See? He's helping! She's getting nothing from the magic shop guy, so she moves on.
Just a second, Diana.
Harold.
Coming.
Considering the quality of his other tricks that we've seen so far, that's right up his alley. Elsewhere, there's a mime show going on.
I know. It's awful.
Inside, Dr. Hutchins has finished examining the pendant. He hides the pendant in that safe, burns his notes, and puts in an urgent call to Diana. When he can't reach her, he prepares to head to the IADC headquarters.
The undergraduate lab is down the hall and on your left.
You knew they were up to something. The girl mime led that group of students off somewhere else so this guy could do whatever they're going to do to the professor. He does a couple of basic magic tricks, then the professor says, I really have to be going.
All right, one more.
He paints the professor up like another mime, puts the battered hat on him, and takes him outside. The students think it's all part of the act as they load him in a car and drive away. Later, Steve and No Name are searching the lab, trying to figure out why the professor never showed up.
I might have found something outside, but I'm not sure. A student swears that he saw Hutchins performing in a mime troupe.
Hutchins was performing?
That's what the student swears, with a guy and a girl. And the guy was a magician.
A magician?
With the white face, and I think he said he had a battered top hat or something.
He tells her to have Diana track them down. We talked for over a minute and we still haven't used her name. In Cagliostro's lair, Dr. Hutchins is refusing to answer any questions, especially about the pendant.
I see. So force my hand. Well, perhaps it's just as well. It has been some time, Dr. Hutchins, since we had a customer in our little chamber of horrors.
Yeah, that little person there, I'm going to show you every line he has. Diana asked Harold for help tracking down the mime magician that kidnapped Dr. Hutchins, and he takes her to a symposium where every magician in the region is likely to be.
It's Morgana Le Fay.
I know.
He had a huge crush on her until he met Diana. Lucky Morgana. Then he says, I hope we're here long enough to see Cagliostro perform.
Cagliostro. Couldn't be.
Diana?
It's just that I remember 200 or 300 years ago a man I read about. Cagliostro from the 18th century.
No, he's not an immortal. He's a descendant. We'll talk about that later. In his dressing room, Morgana is questioning whether he should do this. He says, if I'm performing, then there's no suspicion on me if something happens.
Jezreel, you have the information I obtained from Hutchins?
I know where the safe is, yes.
Then use this to open it and bring the pendant to me. And take care with that. It's highly explosive.
Diana and Harold head in to see Cagliostro. She says, you watch the magicians and I'll watch the audience. So he's finally off her back for a bit. That's a good thing because... he tries to run, but Diana has an ally on her side that he doesn't know about.
Stay away from me. There's a bomb in here.
I want to hear him explain to Cagliostro why he needs another bomb to open the safe. But it did slow her down, momentarily.
All right, now where's Dr. Hutchins?
I don't know. Cagliostro didn't tell me.
Cagliostro? He's behind this?
I received my instructions from him. He gave me the explosive.
What were you supposed to do with those?
Open the safe in Hutchins' lab and remove the pendant.
He doesn't know why Cagliostro wants the pendant, but he can tell her where it is, which he does.
In 10 seconds, go inside, call the police, and surrender yourself to them.
I didn't know the lasso could do that. I knew it could make him forget, but it looks like we have another upgrade. In his office, the Emir is getting a little antsy.
Your Highness?
You're late.
I had a previous engagement.
Are you prepared to deliver the gold you promised us?
Do you speak for yourself or for the other heads of state? Are all the oil-producing nations in agreement?
Do you know what you're forcing us to do? We have to raise the price of oil to buy your gold.
And why do you need all that gold? Short answer, he doesn't. He's selling out the world's economy to line his own pockets. He confirms that they've already given Cagliostro a down payment of $10 million, and Cagliostro says you'll have the gold in 2 days, and you're getting it at less than half the going market price for gold. The oil producers aren't stopping to ask why he's willing to part with so much gold at a reduced price. A lot of us are wondering that too. Wonder Woman is at the professor's lab. She's found the safe. It's a good thing she has total control over her strength. Otherwise, if she forgot to change back before she went home for the night, Diana'd have to buy a new doorknob. The pendant is right where the professor left it.
It's lead.
Now we know why that gold is so cheap. After a while, it turns back into lead, and a mere stereotype doesn't know it. Morgana raises the question to Cagliostro.
It takes longer each time,
Doesn't matter. It will still happen.
but not until after I have sold the gold to the Emir. And I have become richer than all the Cagliostros before me dreamed possible.
And when it happens, he really thinks he can avoid these guys hunting him down and doing very unpleasant things to him. A lot of those Middle Eastern oil barons had egomaniacs like him for lunch. If he pulls this off, there's nowhere on the planet he'll be able to hide from them, no matter how good an illusionist he is. Wonder Woman gave the pendant to Diana, who gave it to Steve, who gave it to Iraq to analyze. We're getting the results now.
I was analyzing the pendant Wonder Woman found in Dr. Hutchins' lab.
I have computed my evaluation.
Both Diana and I figure it's lead.
Affirmative. And negative.
What do you mean? It can't be yes and no. Is it lead or isn't it?
It can if it's still in the process of changing back into lead. Iraq starts counting the process down as the gold content gets less and less.
Ira, you mean the pendant used to be gold and now it's turning to lead?
Affirmative. My calculations indicate that at one time the object was solid gold.
Well, then when Eve gave the pendant to Dr. Hutchins, it was gold. It was the same pendant.
She has a name. Her name is Eve. We finally get to learn it. What's her last name? Does she have one? According to the credits, no, she doesn't. But gaining one name is progress. So now the subject is alchemy. What name is at the top of Iraq's roster under that topic?
Count Cagliostro, Name first adopted by...
Giuseppe Balsamo, born Palermo, Italy, 1743. A fake, swindler, alchemist, you name it.
You an expert?
Well, let's just say I've done my homework.
Let's just say she knew him and didn't consider him a friend. The current count is a descendant. Swindling and all the rest run in the family. Diana is working on some leads to track down where he's operating. Steve is going to have a talk with the Emir of Kiana.
This is an outrage.
It's an emergency, I assure you.
Never before have I been so rudely torn away from my daily enterprises.
My men will drop you back at the rate.
By that time, 5 of my horses would have run.
Sit down.
He's about to explode the world's economy, and he's more concerned about racing horses. We're really pulling out all the stops to make him and other Arabs look as horrible as possible. Steve is having none of his bluster.
You're planning on increasing the price of oil to pay for the gold you're buying from Cagliostro at a discount rate.
Why, I don't even know...
A simple reminder, Your Highness, one you may discuss with Cagliostro the next time you see him. You get only what you pay for.
If that doesn't let him know there's something weird about the gold he's buying, then he's really thick. He's really thick. But he did ask Cagliostro a few questions and drop Diana's name. The whole deal is in jeopardy, so rather than cut his losses and take the 10 million he already has, the Count decides it's time to destroy Diana Prince, because that'll fix his issues with the Emir, somehow.
Don't. The hand, of course, always being quicker than the eye. Okay, darling, which one is the pendant?
That's really cool. I've never seen that before. I don't know.
He wraps up his act and heads for the shop.
Well, Mr. Farnham, you certainly got here fast.
Is Miss Prince all right?
This way, please.
Something wrong?
No, nothing at all. Open up!
Your name is now bait. Cagliostro comes in and says, "You're going to help me crush Diana Prince." He explains his plan and his problem to Harold and Dr. Hutchins, then calls Diana.
Prince, I have a call for you from Harold Farnham. He says it's urgent.
Okay, patch him through.
Diana, is that you?
Harold?
I'm glad I got you. Listen, I think I got a lead for you, but you gotta come quick.
Don't try to walk toward him. Yell something and tell her it's not you talking.
Meet me down on Orchid. You know where that old deserted house of horrors is?
Yeah.
Great. See you there in half an hour.
Harold.
Okay, never mind. He's not that clever. Diana hangs up and says to herself, "I think I'll send a friend instead." I wonder who she means.
Take them downstairs.
What are you going to do with us?
Out of courtesy, I shall wait for Miss Prince. And then I shall drown the 3 of you like rats.
That's too much for Morgana. She says Diana Prince is fair game. She signed up for this sort of thing. But those two are innocents. You can't kill them.
They are in my way. Now I have a reception to arrange, if you don't mind.
She's had enough of this and won't be part of it. As soon as he leaves the room, she prepares herself and slips out.
Wonder Woman. Morgana, spare me any more tricks. Just tell me where Hutchins and the boy are.
They're in a cell in the basement, and you'd better hurry.
I told you no more tricks.
It's the truth. Cagliostro plans on killing both of them and Diana Prince. In fact, I was on my way to warn her.
She also says the Emir is supposed to pick up his gold later this evening. So Wonder Woman had better hurry, but be very careful. Wonder Woman sends her off to continue and try to warn Diana Prince. At least it'll keep her busy and out of trouble for a while. Harold built a little electric torch of sorts out of a couple of pencils and some electrical wire, and he's trying to cut through the door with it.
Wonder Woman.
That's much quicker.
There's a door just outside to your right. Get to a phone call Steve Trevor at the IADC. Tell him to meet me here with the police.
The Emir has counted his gold and his men are wheeling it out as they speak. He says, "In 10 minutes, my bank will wire you the $1 billion that we promised."
Cagliostro? You were about to make a big mistake, Your Highness. That gold you think you're buying, it'll turn to lead within 2 days.
Lead?
I am not my father nor any of my ancestors. This is one Cagliostro who shall escape you. Stop her!
And he's gone. Steve and Wonder Woman engage in a little greed-shaming with the Emir, thoroughly deserved I might add, and he runs off to stop the payment to Cagliostro. We never follow up on Morgana, but when it comes right down to it, she didn't do anything illegal, so she should be free to keep doing her own magic act. She was played by a young actress named Brenda Benet, I hope I pronounced that right, who was married to Bill Bixby at the time. They had a son, but a year after this episode aired, they divorced. 2 years after that, their son was killed in an accident. It was all too much for her, and she took her own life at the age of 36. I get the feeling we're robbing ourselves by not making Cagliostro a recurring villain. We've established that Wonder Woman has been the thorn in his family's side for generations, so we could have gotten a lot of mileage out of continuing that rivalry. Instead, we now have 3 good villains who escaped with the promise of more and never delivered. It's a shame because I really like the way Dick Gautier played him. Sinister and super dangerous, but just a touch off the rails. Flamboyant, but plays things close to the vest. He's impossibly greedy and basically wants to be the richest man in the world, yet he already has enough money to build an alchemy machine. And he has no morals beyond self-interest. We could have done a lot with that. Alas, it was not to be. Harold was an interesting addition. He desperately wants to be Diana's understudy, which is to say he wants to marry her, but he doesn't get any of his magic tricks right until the very end. He's a touch of comic relief, but he has a serious side too. And there's good news, we'll see him again in Season 3. Maybe by then he'll have perfected more than one trick. I'm Irving, and you are now exiting Cartertopia.